presentation, and that is the archetype called the imposter archetype. Now, this is the part of you that feels like a fraud when being someone new and when doing something new. There is a desire to get relief from the anxiety and discomfort of self-doubt, the doubts that you feel about yourself in new situations, where the motto and mindset is one of, I'm just not that sort of person. So, who is the imposter? The imposter is the part of oneself that feels uncomfortable, unprepared, and unsuitable when doing something that is beyond our current capabilities and know-how, where there can be a sense of wrongdoing and insincerity, where we can feel like we are pretending and faking who we are when performing a duty or role that is different to our usual characteristics and skill sets. We feel like an imposter when being and doing that which is beyond what we know and what we have done before. There is anxiety and aversion towards situations that we believe we are undeserving or incompetent of doing. And there are two different types of imposter. We start with the identity imposter. You see, we all have a fixed identity of this is who I am and what I can do. We identify with being a certain person. And when faced with the challenge of doing something different to the person and abilities that we identify with, we can start to think that we aren't that sort of person, that we aren't capable of doing what is required, whereby we can reject change. Now, it is important to mention that when you are aligned with the destiny of your true nature, you know who you are and you know what you are capable of. This is when the imposter archetype becomes an important indicator to let you know when an experience, situation, or opportunity is the wrong move and direction for you and your overall life journey. And so when you get a feeling that something is not right for you and the person that you are becoming, then you sometimes do need to stick with who you are and what you know and remain single-minded with the one purpose and direction. However, if you are not aligned with your true nature and you have cultivated an identity that does not reflect your innate talents, skills, and strengths, then you are at risk of rejecting opportunities that would express and develop the true you. And we can sometimes reject great opportunities to expand and excel beyond the limits of who we are and what we do and have, because the imposter archetype is too quick to dismiss new experiences, where you dismiss that which you mistakenly think and feel is not a match for the type of person that you identify with, even though these experiences are exactly what you need. Unfortunately, when locked into a fixed identity, you will struggle to identify with and accept other experiences. The fixed identity is so stubborn and unchangeable because of its programmed beliefs and values, which keeps one close-minded and unable to perceive, consider, and reach for new experiences outside of the life that you have identified with. And when we identify as being this, we immediately identify as not being that. And the more attached we become to the labels and narratives that define who we are and who we are not, the more our world shrinks. The more we become comfortable and secure in ourselves, and yet at the same time, the less comfortable we feel towards change and the less inclined and willing we are to break the mold, upset the status quo, and embark on new challenges that will strengthen who we are and develop more character. And as the late Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are both right. Which means that whatever situations you identify with as being possible or impossible, you are right in your conclusions. And so it is the reality that you identify with that determines what you will and will not do, and not the situation itself. All situations in life are objective. They can be wrong and they can be right, but it depends on how you subjectively identify with the situation. And so you could be thinking about a new career, a new relationship, a new experience that does have the objective potential to be right or wrong for you. And that potential can be swayed down to how you choose to identify it with that potential. Where the imposter within you is likely to feel wrong about something because that something does not match the person that you identify with. And so you make a conclusion from the bias of your subjective identity rather than look at possibilities and potentials of experiences objectively to see the reality for what it actually is. You instead use your subjective bias, which can lead you to make a wrong decision about something that could be right for you. And this coincides with the capability imposter. That's because when thinking of or actually doing something that is beyond our capabilities, there is a sense of being inferior and inadequate for the undertaking of that situation, task, or role at hand. Capability equals comfort, certainty, and security. And so without being or feeling capable, we can feel doubtful, insecure, nervous, and underprepared to perform. Coupled to a fear of being rejected, of being caught out, of making a mistake, of being thought of by others as unfit and unsuitable for the position we take. Now, whether embarking on a career change, new job position, or upgrading your knowledge base and skills, or even beginning a new relationship, to feel insecure over one's capability to perform is a natural reaction. The sense of unsureness that comes from starting something new should be embraced as the healthy sign that we are making progress into an experience that could elicit a better way of life and a more superior level of competency. To get to a new place of assuredness, we must welcome in and travel through a period of being unsure. Besides, feeling doubtful about one's ability to perform is what gives one the edge, the acute attentiveness, the laser-like focus towards getting the objective right and the job done. And I also want you to realize that most people can still feel nervous and insecure about a performance even when they possess the skills to succeed in that performance. And so whether you can or cannot do something, the insecurities, the fears and doubts, they are still there. And the difference between those who do and those who do not push through despite those negative emotions is how bad you want the outcome of what you desire. And so when you learn to harness the fears and insecurities of the imposter within, when you treat the inner resistance as something that you push away from and towards the outcomes you want, when you treat the imposter archetype as this inner adversary, a part of the self that you must disprove as being wrong and proceed in spite of, when you embrace the imposter as this lower self version of you that requires a big brother or big sister, this higher self version of you in which to calm down, to sympathize, to guide and encourage you, then, my friend, the imposter will no longer be a limitation on you. However, the imposter stands in the way of you pushing through to the next stage of your life and prevents you from expanding and excelling forward when you let your current capabilities dictate your potential future. In other words, from the perspective of your current status, you are likely to judge what is and is not possible for you, even though the past and present does not have to dictate the future, even though you can explore, unfold, grow, and develop into your future. And therefore, it is the imposter in you that, through the lens of your current capabilities, will start to rationalize why you are not capable, not this type of person, not supposed to be doing it, not deserving of better, and why you do not have the right skills to succeed. But here's the paradox. There is an element of truth to those preceding statements, for it is when we take new actions, it is in the becoming part of life, when doing the welding and the bossing, that we improve upon new skills, that we actually become more capable. We earn and deserve the achievements of life in the process of doing and becoming. We don't deserve nothing without the earnest work and without proving our worthiness of that achievement. And so confidence and competency is something we grow into, whilst feeling insecure and incompetent during the process of growth. Therefore, sometimes we just need to roll the sleeves up and get on with it, regardless of that niggly little voice of doom that casts spells of doubt and derogation. Which brings us on to the next slide, which are the detriments of the imposter. You have anxiety and aversion towards experiences that will elicit personal growth, which means that whenever you are experiencing an overriding trepidation, inferiority and incompetency, a sense of fraudulence towards new experiences, you are likely to avoid or reject those experiences and sabotage yourself from an experience that could develop a new skill and knowledge within you, that could feed your soul and free your spirit, because there are no plateaus in life. Either we are experiencing personal growth or we are in personal decline. Personal decline equals suffering a life that is restricted, that elicits negative emotions and physical illness more often than not. Which brings us to the fixed identity has a re-identification issue. The imposter mentality with its fixed identity will keep you locked into the familiar lifestyle patterns that you identify with and are deeply attached to. This means that the person that you believe you are will always prevent you from becoming the person that you have the potential to be. You can become anyone when you let go of the limited belief that you have to be someone. You are free to fly anywhere you see fit when you have released yourself from the rigid values and beliefs of a character that you have created, which is a character that can be recreated with new values and beliefs. Therefore, until you break free from the fixed identity, you will never achieve greater standards nor embark on novel experiences that stimulate personal growth. You see, the fixed values and beliefs of the imposter fails to see that you can assimilate with new knowledge, skills, and role plays, and even though they are contrary to your existing identity. In fact, you can have multiple identities that all correlate with and complement each other. Or you can have no identity and therefore unfold, mold, and adapt who you are as you move forwards and through this life. So to conclude, the imposter archetype is a re-identification issue. The limited thinking of your fixed identity, it struggles to detach from what it already knows and feels comfortable with, and struggles to identify with and attach to that which is unknown and could be better. Therefore, the imposter feels troubled by the idea of being someone that he or she is not. You also need to know that the imposter archetype can elicit the defeatist archetype's desire to withdraw, quit, and fail. When the imposter is working against you, when you are fearful of the unknown, this can trigger the mindset of the defeatist, where you slip into self-sabotage mode as you start to prophesize, dramatize, and catastrophize worst case scenarios, and then think of all of the ways that you should immediately retract away from a new challenge and why you should not make a change, not try something new, and so you fail before you start. So now let's conclude the imposter archetype. When you think about it, there is no getting away from being the imposter. During the different phases, ventures, and projects of life, we are required to step into different roles and different experiences that demand a new part of the self. Like, for instance, when getting a first job or upgrading to a new career position, when becoming a parent and then a grandparent, or when transitioning from youth to adulthood and old age. And so we must sometimes accept the initial discomfort of change. We must embrace being someone we are not, of stepping into a new role, of letting go of the old ways, whilst we make adjustments to upgrade and update our mindset, skill sets, and attitude to welcome in to our life a new chapter, and to accept that there will always be a sense of doubt over one's tenure whilst earning one's tenure, that we must stop clinging on to what has been so we can make room for what must be. Otherwise, we will only be met with the suffering of internal resistance and holding on to something in a changing world. And now that we have explored the imposter archetype, I want you to relate to how this archetype is a theme in your life. Where are you skirting away from new challenges and responsibilities because of limited beliefs? Where and why don't you feel worthy of a certain experience and achievement? Where is fear and insecurity stopping you from making a breakthrough change? Where do you have detachment and attachment issues? How does your fixed identity limit and restrict you?